Hey everyone! This is Living Dead Gal and welcome back to another Sims 4 video. Today we are going to be talking about my must-have Create a Sim mods and the defaults that I use in my game. So the first mod that I wanted to cover is the Stand Still in CAS mod by Mizore Yukii. I love this mod because it makes your sim just stand completely still instead of doing all of the kind of moving around that they do. It took me a minute to get used to it because I'm used to them having facial expressions and things, so it feels like maybe they're a little bit devoid of personality at first, but it just makes it so much easier. They do still blink, and if you click on like one of the traits and you want them to do the little trait animation, you can see that they will go ahead and still do that animation, which is really nice. It just makes your life way easier when you're trying to grab like certain body parts and things just to like resize and design your sim, especially for werewolves and vampires, because between the howling and the hissing, it's just a lot. The next mod that I want to cover is the Skip CAS Stories mod. So I'm actually going to go back to the main menu. So you'll see right here as I load into Create a Sim, it actually skips the whole pop-up asking if I want to create a story for the sim, which I think is really nice because I don't really use the stories feature. You can still enable it when you're adding new sims to CAS, but it's just really nice when you first load in to not have that little pop-up come up. So the next mod that I want to cover is actually a lighting mod, and this is by Luumia. This is the CAS Lighting Mod. Now, they've got a couple of different versions on their page that you can choose from that add like different spotlights to your sim. I'm fine with the EA lighting in CAS because I use GShade, which we'll talk about in a minute. But what I did get irritated with is that there usually is like a blue or green backlight that you'll kind of notice on the back of your sim that kind of hits them. It's kind of weird in CAS. It's just always bothered me, and this mod will completely remove that so that you don't have that weird effect happening kind of on the backlight of your sims. So speaking of lighting, I do also use a GShade in my game. I know this is technically not a mod and it doesn't pertain just to CAS. It kind of changes the shading of your entire game, but you guys can see if I disable it, this is actually what the in-game lighting looks like for me. But with the GShade preset that I use, it's much brighter, much more vibrant. This might be a little too bright for some people, but I really like my game to be super bright and colorful, and so I really do enjoy using, I use a bunch of different GShade presets, but this is probably the one that I use the most. I'll show you guys, the preset that I use is actually the Gabbro brightness preset. This is what the original preset looks like. I have a version that I've edited where I've just simply taken the colorfulness and bumped it up just a little bit so you can kind of see the difference between the original and then the version that I use. But I think the original itself is really, really good, so I will link you to that. Keep in mind it is designed for reshade, so you may want to just play around with some of the settings, but I find that it works super well. That's the really nice thing about GShade, is that any old reshade presets tend to still work really nicely in GShade, at least from the ones that I've used. So kind of keeping in line with talking about aesthetics, one thing that myself and many other simmers love to use is a custom Create a Sim background. I use the Gradient CAS Background by Ahinana over on Mod The Sims. This just adds like a nice little sort of gradient, so you've got sort of this like whiter space here, and then as you move out, it's sort of a radial gradient. And I have always loved this one. I've used this one for like a year and a half now, I think. Occasionally I'll switch it out and I'll use some other fun ones, especially when we get into spooky season or when I'm doing stuff for designing occult sims. I'll use like creepier looking backgrounds, but I really love this pink one. I use the Blossom version. If you look at the link that I'm going to provide, they have a ton of different colors. So they have like oranges, they have mixes of colors, like some sorbet looking ones that have like orange and pink, all kinds of different colors if you want to choose from and swap them out. You can download as many as you want and just have them to swap out, but keep in mind you can only keep one of them in your game at a time. So if you try to put in 2 default CAS backgrounds, it's either probably gonna like break your game or maybe only one is actually gonna work at a time. So just bear that in mind. There are tons of CAS backgrounds out there. So if you're not into something like this one, which is a gradient, if you just search for Sims 4 CAS background, you'll find tons of fun stuff that will come up. Now, one thing that you'll want to get in addition to that, so the next mod I want to talk about is the Blob/shadow remover. This is by Urban Sims, and actually if you go to that page, you can also find a bunch of other really pretty CAS backgrounds that she has designed, so you can pick and choose from there as well. Tons of fun colors. So what it does is there is a sort of like shadow underneath of the sim that is added to the default game to kind of add dimension. So that works really well with the default background, but when you try to pull in a custom background, you end up with kind of like a weird looking blob right here. It will actually remove that so that your Create a Sim background functions nicely and you don't have sort of a weird shape under here. Shadowing is great, but it just doesn't work when you're using these custom mods. So the next mod that I want to talk about is the More Columns in CAS mod by Weerbesu. I love this mod because it allows you to expand upon the columns that you have for your Create a Sim items, which makes it a lot easier to see what you have, especially if you have a ton of CC in your game like I do. Honestly, even if you're just using like, you know, in-game items and no CC, especially with all of the packs that they've added, there's a lot to choose from, and so it's really, really nice to have something that'll expand the columns. You can get a 3-column option, 4-column option, or 5-column option. I use the 5-column both for my PC here as well as on my laptop. I just bring the in-game like accessibility. I make the screen itself, like the user interface, a bit smaller so that the 5 columns works. So you may have to change that a little bit. To do that, you would just go to your game options, accessibility, and then you can scale the UI up or down. So the next mod that is an absolute must-have for me is Mizore Yukii's Zali Wrench custom icon. This basically replaces the wrench icon that comes up when you have custom content items. So when you have an item that is just an in-game item, let me see if I can find one. So for instance, this pair of pants here is an in-game item. It's a base game item, so it doesn't have any icons on it. If we have something related to a particular pack, like let's say we wanted to look at something from Get Together, I can actually see the icons for the Get Together stuff here. But when you have custom content pieces, it adds a wrench. The wrench icon, it's fine, but it's not really aesthetically pleasing, whereas this mod here will just remove the wrench and replace it with this really cute little CC icon. They have a couple of different color swatch options to choose from. I think there's like a pink one and some purple ones maybe. I'm not sure all the color variations, but I use the green CC icon. It also allows you to add just a tiny little custom plumb bob to the CC skin details that you have instead of having a wrench. And same goes for the eyes as well. The next mod that I want to talk about is Sparrow's Tidy Details mod. This is like probably one of the most important mods like for me to have in Create a Sim because of the sheer amount of CC that I like to have in my game, especially when we get into the skin details category. So as you can see, I have a lot of skin details that I have installed, lots of custom content, and there are lots of different categories where you can layer your skin details so that you're not limited to just one item. However, if you start to choose a couple of items, so right now she is wearing a skin overlay that is in this forehead crease section. If I were to say that I wanted to go ahead and give her some eye bags, if I add that, it actually completely removes her skin overlay. Now, I'm able to avoid doing this because I am able to easily find where I have items located. So right now I can see this is the skin detail that she's wearing, and I can see that it is in the forehead crease section because with this mod, what it has done is it has added this placeholder card. So it shows me everything that's in forehead crease. And then if I scroll down, it takes a minute because I've got a lot. But then if I hop over into mouth crease, I can see that I should be able to layer anything from the mouth crease section over here. So if I wanted to add some mouth corners, I can go ahead and add those in without removing the skin overlay that she has on. This mod also adds the cards to the accessories section as well. So it'll actually divide up everything like in the piercing section. So you've got a brow ring item. Again, scrolling takes a while. You've got like the brow ring right and brow ring left. It's super nice just so you can make sure that you can add multiple items to the Sims in the accessories and skin detail section without conflicting. And it's also an option in the tattoo section as well, so that when I'm going to select tattoos for my Sims, I can make sure that I'm selecting items that are not going to conflict with one another. So the next mod that I want to cover is the color sliders mod. I'm actually going to swap out her outfit here to demonstrate this, but the color sliders mod is by the Pancake one and Mizore Yukii, and it allows you to apply the same color sliders that were added with the makeup update to clothing and hair. Now, this will only work if you're using custom content. The custom content you're using has to be enabled to work with the color sliders. I believe there's a way to update it with Sims 4 Studio, but I think when I've done that a few times, it has made my file sizes a little bit larger. So I typically just stick with the ones that are pre-enabled by the creators themselves. I'm actually going to demonstrate it on some CC by Viiavi. They have clothing and hair that is part of the color spectrum collection, and it actually works with the sliders. So right here, we've got this dress swatch, and it has a couple of different patterns that you can choose from. But let's say I really love this patterned dress, but maybe I want something in a different color. You can actually use this to change the hue, which is so cool because it retains the pattern, but it's actually changing the color shade, and then you can kind of adjust how saturated you want it to go. Now, it's not always going to look great if you oversaturate your items, so you kind of have to pick and choose what you think looks best, but you can make it a really light version, a really dark version, and again, you can kind of go in and just play around with the slider and change the color. So I think this is a really cool, really nice mod to have, and I'll also demonstrate how it works on the hair. So this is another one of Viiavi's hair that is in the Spectrum collection, and right here, this is using just the general hair, and then this is the Spectrum version here. So again, I can just kind of swap it out. Really cool. You can see endless possibilities of colors that you can use here, and I think even like the brightness works. So I'd probably, like, if you wanted to deepen the color, you can make it like a really cool metallic dark blue. So lots of fun to kind of deliver the ultimate customization. Now, if you're someone who doesn't like to use a lot of CC, but you still want to have this ability to change the color of items in game, the mod itself, if you go to that page, you can download all of the add-on items that you would need in order to be able to use the color slider mod for in-game hair items and in-game clothing items, and you can pick and choose what you want based on base game and the packs that you're using. And this mod is also really great for skin details as well. So if you use some blushers in your skin details section, which I like to use a lot of times on like my toddlers and stuff. So let's say that maybe I grab this one, but maybe it's just a little bit too intense. Actually, let's try one of these oranger ones. So yeah, let's say maybe I grab something like this, and I want her to have like a little bit of a natural blush, but maybe that's a bit too intense. It'll actually allow you to adjust the opacity, which I find super helpful. So the next mod that I want to talk about is also by the Pancake one in Mizore Yukii, and this is the More Traits in CAS mod. This allows you, when you're creating a sim, or if you go into CAS full edit mode from the game, you can come in and you can add additional traits to your sim. It allows adults and young adults to have 2 extra traits, so you can get up to 5. I believe for teens, you can have 4 traits total. For children, I think it's 3, and for toddlers, I think it's 2. But normally in game, when I'm creating my sim, I would get to select my aspiration, my likes and dislikes. My bonus trait would come with the aspiration, and then I would get to select 3 traits. This will allow me to select more for her. Now, it might be overwhelming at first to select more traits, but for me personally, I find that in my gameplay, when my sims have more traits, it balances their moodlets more and makes them feel a lot more well-rounded. If you feel like you don't have enough traits in game, the next mods that I'm kind of briefly mention are custom traits for your sims. There are 3 creators that I use custom traits by primarily, and that would be Kijiko, Kiera Sims 4 Mods, and Snowy. These traits can be a lot of fun to have in your game and can add a lot more personality to your sims because they will all come with custom moodlets. So things like this yogi trait are really fun. We've got a spiritual trait, eccentric, emotional, heroic, high-strung, lots of fun stuff that you can add to your game. Some of the traits you might find are comparable to in-game traits, but they might be tuned a little bit better as far as the moodlets. And other ones are, you know, completely unique, like we have optimistic and pessimistic. So I will put a link to each of those 3 creators that I mentioned, and you can kind of pick and choose what traits you'd like to add in your game. I am just going to show you one other mod. It's not really a mod, it's like a series of mods that you can add to your game. But one thing that I love having in my game are custom CAS poses. Sometimes when you're making a sim, you don't want to go in-game to get screenshots and take poses, and so you can download a variety of different create a sim poses that will work in your game. depending on what trait you have. So when you download these poses, you want to see what trait it will assign it to, but your sim will start doing some custom in-game poses, and you can kind of zoom in and out to get the different screenshots that you want. This is really helpful when you're making thumbnails for videos. Obviously, you can still do poses in-game as well, but these are just fun ones to have in Create a Sim. But the creators that I primarily use for CAS poses are Helga Tisha, Catverse, and Ratboy Sims. Lots of really good CAS poses that you can use, and they also come with a set of in-game poses that will match as well, but lots of fun to take photos with. So now that we've covered pretty much all of the CAS mods that I use, I'm going to go into the defaults and overrides that I use in Create a Sim. So I'm really quickly just going to grab another outfit for her. So you can see right here, I don't have her formal outfit picked out, so she's wearing just the default bra and underwear. However, I have a default override. So this is essentially just a recoloring and a shine remover for the default underwear. This is by Mousy Sims, and I really like this one. There's also a really nice one out there by Grim Cookies as well. That's the soft collection. But I found I don't know, I really like this one because it's very similar to the one that's in the game, but it just ends up changing out the colorization, and I like that it's not as shiny. And if you actually go, you can actually see, you can edit the underwear here. It'll actually change the different colors. So there's a lighter version, a slightly nude version, a black version, and a blue version. So you can change out your Sims underwear and stuff before you dress them if you would like. But I just really do like this as far as the overrides go. I think it just looks a lot nicer. I got kind of sick of seeing the coral colored underwear. So kind of moving on as we're here, you can see that my Sim has custom eyelashes on, and these tend to work a lot nicer when you use the EA eyelash remover by Kijiko. So because I have it in my game, you can't see, but the original default eyelashes in game are these sort of block eyelashes. It took me a really long time to realize that's what they were. I thought it was built-in eyeliner that comes with the eyes. So if I were to change her eye preset, which, okay, that's really big. It's a little bit terrifying right now, but it would actually come with, and I'll take off her accessories so we can see, it would actually come with a big chunky block eyelash. This actually kind of tones that down and removes it so that you don't have too much of that. And then when you want to go in and add a custom eyelash to your Sim, so if I just go ahead and throw on these right here, it looks a lot nicer. I know that her eyes look scary big right now, but just to kind of demonstrate how that works. So the next item that I want to show you guys is the default skin blend that I use. This is the Papillon skin blend by Viiavi. I hope I'm saying that all correctly, but it just replaces the EA skin and gives you this skin detail, which I think is super nice. It softens up the lips a lot more. I really like using this when I create a Sim. I think it works really nice in the game. And what's nice about this is that if you are a Maxis Match user, adding this to your game, if you literally just added this to your game and no other CC, it gives your Sims an upgraded look, but it still looks like it matches the game. Now, obviously you saw my Sim designed earlier. I changed the skin overlay that they're using quite often, but I love to have this skin to start with, and I think it looks really nice on the townies in the game. It just adds a lot of different details to the collarbone, and again, the softer lips. It adds some cute detailing to the nose and a little bit of eye bags. What's nice about this is it works really well for all ages. So if I make her an elder real quick, you can see that it actually does add in the wrinkles, which is really nice. So it's not like your Sims are gonna walk around looking super youthful with the skin replacement. It looks really cute on child Sims as well as toddlers. I think it's super cute on the little Sims for toddlers. So definitely a really nice one to have. I've tried using other default skin replacements, but I always go back to this one. So the next set of defaults that I want to talk about are actually it's gonna sound weird, but bear with me. We're gonna talk about default feet. So normally in the game, you have sort of blocky feet for your Sims. I don't love that. So this is really nice because it actually creates a separation of the toes. I feel really weird talking about this, but hopefully you guys understand. The aesthetics are fun. It's a fun part of the game. And so it's really nice to have something that can kind of replace that shape and look a little bit more natural and realistic, especially if you're someone like me who's an alpha alpha user who likes to create a lot of realistic looking Sims. So these are the version 7 default feet by MagicBot, and what I really like about these, not only is that they're super realistic looking, but you also get a set of toenail overlays that come with it, with tons of fun toenail polish for your Sim. So you can have some sort of natural looking toenail polishes like these here, all different sort of shades of like nudes and like grays and whites. You can also do some fun ones here that have like different pattern designs, and I think there may even be a chipped swatch right here. Yeah, so you can have chipped toenail polish for your Sims. Again, I know it's a really tiny detail and I wish I could zoom in to show you, but I just love stuff like this for my Sims. I don't know, it makes me happy, especially for when your Sims are out on the beach or something, and that way you don't have the blocky looking feet like this. So another feature that I think we probably don't think about too often when we're creating a Sim is the teeth. So I use custom default teeth, also by MagicBot. Right now she's got a slightly edited teeth, so you can actually see it's got like some fun details. They're not super perfect, but they replace the in-game teeth and they're just a lot more realistic looking. This can be a little creepy sometimes with certain pictures and stuff, but I really love using these teeth. This is like the normal set. It's got replacement for the vampire fangs. It's got versions with braces. It's got versions with a split down the middle. So any version of the in-game teeth that you have, there is a replacement version for this for MagicBot. I mean, you can give them like the yellow teeth if you want to. It's also got the siren teeth. Tons and tons of different options, you know, with braces, tons of cute teeth for your Sims. Again, it's a small detail, but it's a really fun one to have, even like if you have missing teeth. I just love adding these tiny details to Sims, and I really like the replacement teeth. I think they look a lot more realistic than what is available in the base game. And the very last piece that I want to show you guys is the default eyes that I use. Most of the time I end up giving my Sim some contact lenses for their eyes, and I'll add that to every single outfit, but I'm gonna take those off for now and actually show you what my default eyes look like. So these are the Paradise Eyes by Crybabies, and what I have is a personal conversion of them. So you can see it comes in all of the different color swatches that you would need. It's not completely one-to-one because these eyes are a personal conversion, so they don't completely match the swatches in game one-to-one. So I think sometimes when I'm doing townie makeovers and stuff, the eye color itself might swap out from what their original eye color is. So keep that in mind if you're picking out a set of eyes that you want to use as a personal conversion. They're not necessarily made to be default eyes. I am also going to link you guys to a video by a great friend, amazing simmer, Lady Sweetheart Sims, where she explains how to convert custom eyes into default eyes that you can use. But I will link you guys to this set of eyes, and if you want to convert these yourself to a default eye, you definitely can do that. Or if you have something else that you like for default eyes that you want to use for default eyes, you can watch that tutorial. I will have that linked in the document as well, and make your own custom eyes. And so that is everything for my must-have CAS mods and defaults. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please just do hit that thumbs up button. That lets me know that you'd like to see more content like this. And if you're interested in checking out some of the CC I use, I have a series of CC showcase videos that I will put a card to and a link to in the description that you can check out. So thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you're having a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!